Hey folks, David Stewart here. Let's go ahead and get this show on the road. I'm not exactly sure what all I want to really talk about tonight, so let's hop into it though and see where we go. Figured I might play some games or do something else that's, a bit of fun. And I don't know, we'll hang out with the chat. We'll answer the chat. We'll see what's up. So, had a question as do you think government intervention to enforce neutrality is the optimal solution? I guess we're talking about the problems with social media. So I don't think it's optimal. Like, optimal would be that they are separate entities that act in their own separate self-interest, and therefore competition is available, produces diverse products, and will punish bad actors. But we see some of the problems that we have with that, which is that, even if you look at social media as one thing with several competitive things, like, if you get banned from YouTube, you have Twitter. They all act in concert to ban somebody all at the same time. We saw that with Alex Jones. They did it with Stefan Molyneux. Stefan Molyneux got banned from YouTube, and then he got banned off of Twitter yesterday, I think. There's a process to that, which I haven't talked about, so maybe that's what I'll start with before we get into fun stuff, is we'll talk about the process by which people are deplatformed. And there's a definite process, and all these steps occur in order when I go over them. And so when we look at them, you can anticipate what's going to happen in what order and make precautions as necessary. And the thing is, it's very difficult to be 100% safe from deplatforming in social media if you're a creator or even if you're a user. If you're a user, it's not that big a deal. If you get banned, you can just make another account and continue using. If you just like to comment on YouTube videos, you can do that with another different account, or just like to, shitpost on Twitter, then that's bans aren't that big of a deal. If you're somebody who really is trying to make a living off your following, bans are an increasingly big deal. And part of the problem with making your own platforms, it's like, make your own social media platform. It's like, the point of social media is that people are there. That's why the technical monopoly emerges. So I've never seen a stronger case, actually, where there was a malicious monopoly over something that people were using, which is a technical monopoly. Like, I haven't ever seen an evil company exploiting people that owns the roads right outside their house. This isn't something I've really seen before. And so it's probably one of the best cases I've ever seen for government regulation of monopolies or government intervention, either breaking them up or doing other things like that. Optimal would be there's the capacity to offer a diverse product. Like I mentioned, that Facebook doesn't work. Facebook doesn't work at all, but essentially Facebook is a behemoth that doesn't really have to operate at a profit. It can continue operating at a loss because it can, or it sells, it maintains its profit not by making a good product. So it's hard to know exactly which way to go. If I were to lean on any side of it, it would be actually towards, I've done a lot of thinking about it, and although it's not optimal to do this either, but no government intervention ends up being one of the better options. And right now, I think there's a possibility that could be a good option. And the reason is because the function of the sites is broken. They don't work as intended, which means that there is at least some option for competitors to come in and offer the service as it ought to be, a better Facebook. The problem is getting people to switch, because you do have a technical monopoly thing. But the fact that my wife, she didn't choose to switch to anything. She deactivated her Facebook, or actually I think just deleted her Facebook account entirely. That's huge, because my wife used Facebook a lot. And in fact, Facebook was how we initially reconnected after living separate lives, after we left college and stuff, because we didn't date in college. We dated only years afterwards. But we were friends in college and knew each other and worked together. Facebook was one of the ways that we, made that initial reconnection. So if my wife is like, I've had enough of this and I don't like this product, I'm just going to do without. That's pretty big to me. And that actually signals, the more I think about it, that there may be a tipping point when users will just stop using the platform and it actually will go away. That tipping point is possible, kind of like from MySpace to Facebook. It is possible for the market to produce an alternative, or for people to just stop using it entirely because they don't like it. So there are better possibilities for free market solutions now than if you'd asked me maybe 6 months ago. But there's still a big problem as we're going into an election cycle, which is that the monopolies are going to use their power, or maybe you want to call social media in general an oligopoly. But each little area, they have a monopoly over each area, like, microblogging on Twitter, videos on YouTube. So they're going to use that to try to win an election, in which case they will never be accountable, and they can use the government to ensure that there are no competitors. And indeed, most of these exist because of government intervention in a bunch of ways that people aren't fully aware of. When we're talking about state solutions to things, these large corporations don't exist without state intervention, such as creating the legal fiction known as a corporation, which is a thing that acts like a person and owns property but isn't a person. It's literally a fictional entity. But it protects the people who act within it so that they are not culpable for their actions, and it also protects the people who own the company so that they are not financially responsible for any misdeeds that the company does. So, in other words, if you start up a big company, you own a bunch of stock in it, and you're a billionaire or whatever, company gets $1 billion fine from the government, great. That actually doesn't come out of your pocket. Okay, you don't get your house seized or anything. What happens is that the company has to pay it. It's the company that did it, not me. Same thing with the employees. Facebook banned me. Well, technically the employees of Facebook banned you, and there's no culpability for what they did either. So there's a host of what would constitute government intervention. And even then, if you're like, well, you can't ban somebody. Let's say we're going to make some sort of legal thing where it's hard to ban somebody. You can't ban people. Well, can you shadow ban them? Can you remove them from benefiting from the algorithm? Can you make it so no one sees their posts, but they could still have a Facebook account? Because that's what they do now to avoid a lot of problems. And actually, I'll go ahead and go through the process of deplatforming here in a second. So I think there's actually more possibilities for free market solutions than people are really aware of right now, but I think there's never been a more pressing, obvious technical monopoly than what we see right now. You should check out Disco Elysium, intriguing noir detective adventure game with wonderful aesthetic. I haven't checked it out. Hope you're having a good day. I'm having an okay day. Writing a lot of stuff that's negative, it just puts you in not the best mood. Should get Kingdom Come Deliverance. I think I have it. So, but I don't think I've played it. Is Ethan Van Sciver officially a hack, or a grifter at least? I don't know what to tell you about Ethan. Lots of people like his art. I'm not a fan really of his art. I find it wanting. I don't really like the way his comics look. They're not for me. Some people get it and they're like, oh, there's no story, but the art looks cool. I don't really like the art either. I'm not a fan of the way he draws, and I'm really not a fan of the way. And he actually doesn't do the colors. It's someone else who does the colors. I really don't like the colors in his comics in general. I don't know that, and I'm talking about his product. I have him blocked on Twitter, so I never have to see him or hear from him, and he can't. He used to follow me on Twitter. I blocked him, right? I just don't want to deal with Comicsgate at all. I exited away from all of that drama nonsense a long time ago, and it's continued. Like, every so often mentions pop up about how someone's angry that I said Comicsgate is a bunch of drama nonsense that doesn't produce any products. Well, it's obvious it doesn't do that much. We're now like 3 years into it, and I've seen just a handful of late comics that are from people that are still, quote, Comicsgate, and everybody else that was delivering stuff on time or under budget, everybody else has exited that movement and done their own thing. So anyone that's still thinking about Comicsgate stuff, I don't know quite what you're expecting out of it or what you're there for, but I hope you get it. Doesn't really, Ethan's stuff doesn't really interest me, and I don't like his content either. He used to do content on like how to draw that was kind of interesting, but he stopped doing that obviously and started talking about Star Wars nonstop in like 2018, whatever it was. So make your own ISP, make your own payment processor, make your own bank, make your own government. I'll talk about that stuff in a second here. let me go through the process of deplatforming. I have this on my website. It's on dbspress.com. So deplatforming occurs with a specific process, and if you know this process, you can anticipate exactly how it's going to proceed and where you are along the ban train, and what kind of adjustments you can make as you go to what you're doing here. So the first, there's 3 steps, which is the shadow ban. Then there's the demonetization step, or phase. It's really a big phase. And then the third one is the actual banning, the removal of your existence from the internet. So the first one is just a shadow ban. And I'm already in this category, and I know it because I can see the metrics, and I know exactly when this happened in 2019. Because I went from getting about 100,000 views a month to getting like 10,000 views a month, making 30 videos a month. Like, we're talking, views went from 5,000 to a video to under 1,000, like in a week, which basically meant YouTube was not showing my videos, was not recommending my videos to subscribers, and it wasn't recommending my videos to people who would normally be recommended them in the algorithm. And the change was so sudden. It wasn't like, oh, maybe people got tired. Maybe people were wanting you to do more Star Wars stuff and you weren't doing that, and that's why they stopped watching. Well, it's possible, but all of them at once choosing to stop watching all the content at once? No, it was YouTube doing that. So that's the first step, is the shadow ban. And so when the shadow ban comes in, what they do is they basically remove your access to the algorithm. So the algorithm is a set of filters that decides who sees what when, based on past things that they've done, clicked, liked, or put into their bio, things like that. So if you've liked a video, it goes through the filters. Here's videos that are related to that one. So your video will get removed from that if you're in the shadow ban category. So your video is not going to get presented to people who would like it, because that's the whole point of the filtering, is to show people content that they're really likely to enjoy. So the people who would enjoy your content don't know about it. Now, this is a big and important thing, because it's a huge demoralization when all of a sudden there's no views on any of your videos. It's very demoralizing, because I've experienced it. And I know that it happened to all of us that are kind of dissidents at the same time, because all of my views went away. All of Stefan Molyneux's views went away. Of course, now he's banned. A couple other YouTubers I talked to, like Rocky Mr. E, all of his views went away within like a week. It just happened across the board to basically all of us. But because of that, what happens is that is the first step, not only in demoralizing you, because if no one's watching, you're not going to want to go through the effort of making content on any platform, but also it's the first step in starting to attack your monetary base, because the less people see my content, the fewer people are going to buy my books, the fewer people are going to, basically buy into the other monetization schemes you have as a YouTuber, or as a Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you might be selling whatever program, your Gumroad course. Less people are going to see that. Less people are going to buy it. And this can happen on Facebook as well. In fact, it happens to lots of people, because there's no chronological order, which means what you see on your feed is just whatever Facebook decides you should see. And so if Bill's over there posting stuff to Facebook, it's possible his friends will never see it, even if they really want to keep up with Bill. They want to see the pictures Bill is posting. They won't see them because he's been shadow banned. So that's the first step. It's mainly to demoralize you, but it will start to chip away at that income, especially as the way with YouTube works, especially, is that you get turnover. People become less interested in your content. They just tune out. They stop watching as much. Other people come in because they find your content through the algorithm, and they get really interested in what you're doing for a while. They drop off. So you kind of need this influx of people to replace people who become less interested and disengaged. And it's nothing against people who become less interested in my content. It's what it is, right? I become less interested in all kinds of different content over the years, and more interested in different kinds of content. That's just the way it works. It's nothing bad or good. But when you're shadow banned, and you're removed from the access to the main function of the site, which is to show people things that they want to see, and for you to make things that people want to see, and to have that connection happen. Once that's severed, there's really no point to do it, because you're just like, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I bothering to put effort and time into content that I can't recover any money from, and that nobody's even bothering to watch, even if you're just doing it for fun? It's like, no one's watching it. That's a really big demoralization. So that's phase one, is the shadow ban. So you'll know when you're in that category, because all your engagement's going to go way down. You'll go from getting 1,000 comments a day to getting 100, and you'd be like, what happened? Or you go from 100 comments a day to 10, to 2. No one's watching anymore. You watch that money go down because no one's watching. It's like, what happened? I haven't changed what I'm doing. YouTube changed what they're doing. And it can actually happen on a couple of different levels that I've tested out. One is it can happen for your whole channel. And it happened for my whole channel midway through 2019. Or it can happen for individual videos. And I have tested this very extensively. There are certain metadata elements that if you put them in your videos, YouTube won't show the video to anyone. One of those is censorship. If you make a video on censorship, YouTube will not show that video to anyone, even if they care about censorship and issues with censorship. If you talk about especially censorship on YouTube, that gets no views. So I can make 5 videos in a week. It'll be like 10,000 views, or this was like maybe 2019, so it'd be like 5,000 views, 5,000 views. YouTube censorship, 500 views. Even to the point where I think that they were falsifying the views, where something was wrong with YouTube, where they were not showing the accurate views, because I would have videos that would have 1,000 views and 500 comments. Now, to anyone who's used YouTube, that should set off a big red flag. There is never a 50% comment ratio on any video you do. That is absolutely unheard of. For 500 comments, that video should have 100,000 views. So, or at least 10,000. It should have 10 to 100 times as many views as what's being listed to have 500 comments. Now, for something like censorship, maybe it's really engaging, so the people that are commenting are higher, should have closer to 10,000 views. But YouTube maybe suppresses that and doesn't really, it's not really going to pay you. It's all opaque. They pay you money supposedly based on how much ad revenue you generate by people clicking and watching ads, but you don't really know. You don't really know how the relationship works. Views don't equate directly into money and things like that. It's just kind of all over the place. So that can happen on an individual video, or it can happen on your entire channel. It depends on how they are setting up their filters to operate. Phase 2 is demonetization. This is actually several different steps, and it doesn't just occur on YouTube, but first step is they remove your ability to monetize your content, to run ads and collect super chats. So if they are running ads and collecting super chats, that and it could be, I put a video up on my site from Mr. Medicor, is like, they didn't even pay him the money they owed him. Once they decided he was demonetized, all the revenue he generated, it's like they kept it. So he was owed a paycheck for YouTube content, and they said, no, we're not going to give you anything. You get 0. So they demonetize you. Now, demonetization is important because, first of all, a normal, inquisitive mind will know there's no reason really to demonetize anything. Anyone who's not an idiot knows that the advertisers are not endorsing the videos that they're shown on. Advertisers are going to the user, not to the video. Always. That's always the way it worked on YouTube. It's the way it works on AdSense. It's the way it works across the internet at this point. It's targeted to you, the user. It has nothing to do with the ad that it's shown on. And everyone knows this. Anyone who uses the site knows it. All the creators know it. The advertisers know it too. But the whole adpocalypse thing that happened like 2 years ago was really SJWs that had already gotten into semi-converged companies complaining that there were Nazi YouTubers, what they consider Nazi YouTubers, collecting ad revenue for their company or something like that. So they just used their clout to try to ban people. It had nothing to do with money, because there's no reason to not advertise to people who would buy your product. That's a completely backward mode of thinking. Corporations should exist exclusively to make profit. But yet they don't, because they're staffed with people, and people have political ambitions. And the people who have those political ambitions, who are working for the advertising departments of whatever car company, they don't get paid any less if their company suffers. They're on salary. The employee is mostly disconnected from the profit motive of the corporation in general. It's really like a big disconnect. And this is the same thing with Facebook. Someone who works for Facebook or Twitter and decides to ban somebody suffers no negative consequence for that, nor does any kind of negative consequence to the company fall down on them until the whole thing comes crashing down and everybody gets fired. Everybody gets laid off. So they remove your ability to collect money. The whole point here, and then they'll actually go further than that. So first, it's they get rid of YouTube. YouTube money. Now, dissidents in the past were very savvy that this was a weak point. This was a point of attack. So lots of YouTubers were taking steps very early on to avoid this problem. Stefan Molyneux was one. He had a whole system set up of direct donations. Other YouTubers like, I don't know, Sargon, Computing Forever, some of these other YouTubers, Mr. Medicare, who I just mentioned, aka Internet Aristocrat, they set up Patreons. So you go through the Patreon, and then when they turn off the ad revenue, you have a steady stream of reliable income that's not dependent on this opaque ad thing that YouTube does anyway, that will keep you going, and also makes you a little bit more immune to the shadow ban as well. Keeps the engagement a little higher too. So you have that Patreon money coming in. So the next step they do is they ban people from Patreon. They ban Sargon from Patreon. They banned Medicare from Patreon, aka Jim, aka Internet Aristocrat. They kicked Milo off within a day of him making an account. So they attack your ability to efficiently monetize your efforts, to efficiently make money off of your content creation. So that's the next thing to do, is they get rid of your Patreon. They attack Patreon. And this can be done a couple ways. Of course, there's collusion between companies. That's obvious. That's why everything happens all at once. There's no other good explanation for it. It'd be very hard to prove in a court of law, but there's only so many coincidences I can tolerate. And everybody, a person like Alex Jones being banned from everything within a couple of minutes indicates massive collusion between the employees of these companies. I think it's very obvious that is what's happening. Obviously, I can't really prove that in a court of law, but there's no reason that coincidences would be that type. So it could be just people complaining to Patreon. You just swarm Patreon and say, this guy's bad, kick him off the platform. And as much as the people who run Patreon were like, we really want people to not have to worry about ad revenue, but here we are being pressured to kick people off the platform. It goes one step further, which is not just Patreon, but the payment processors themselves. And I think this is ultimately what got Patreon to start kicking people, is PayPal, Square, Visa, these huge, very opaque banking companies that run all the electronic transfers. They say, you got to get rid of these people. And you'll follow suit, because if you can't use PayPal, or if you can't use Visa, let's say, to process your payments and your Patreon, you don't have a business. You cannot operate without being able to process credit cards and debit cards. You just can't do it. It's impossible. So if somebody survives all of that, like Stefan Molyneux didn't even have a Patreon, as far as I know. He was just collecting direct donations. Then you ban him off of PayPal too. So PayPal kicked him off last year. In fact, Stefan Molyneux is a great case study. First, he was shadow banned. Then he was demonetized. He had never put ads on his videos, but that's part of the step. They demonetize it so you have no ability to generate money. Then you remove their ability to process payments. And the whole point here, besides demoralizing someone, is to start draining their resources, to drain their bank account. And if you can drain their bank account and put them in a desperate situation, first of all, a lot of times they'll give up, because you got to pay bills. You have mortgage payments, maybe. You got to keep the lights on. You got to pay for the electricity in your house. So you stop doing that and do something else where you can make money. That's the hope, that they just go away. And if that's not where they're going, when you do ban them, you will have sufficiently bled them out so they don't have the resources, will, motivation, or in some cases the friendships and the following in order to fight you legally. So this is a defense strategy. If anybody's interested in like tort law, this is a strategy the defense uses always in as much as they can in personal injury suits. So if somebody is suing a company for a personal injury claim, they say, the company, someone at the company acted negligently and I broke my leg and I can't work. Well, what you do is during that lawsuit, you try to prolong the court date as long as possible. And the whole point there is that the longer that person goes without working, the more likely they are to settle for less money than the lawsuit is worth. And so you save money in the long run. It costs very little money to keep your lawyer on retainer, or you have a staff lawyer, and just force that court date later, go through mediation, just waste everybody's time so that the plaintiff gets more and more desperate for a resolution because the bills pile up. They're getting evicted from their house because they can't pay the rent. And then you're able to offer them a small settlement for them to go away, and they're desperate to take it. This is a very popular defense strategy in American tort law. And I know this because this strategy was used on my family on a wrongful death suit involving how my father was killed. And it took 5 years for us to finally go to trial. And they didn't actually make a meaningful offer until the jury was deliberating. Until the jury was out making their decision, and they finally realized they couldn't kick the can down the road anymore. They kicked it down the road 5 years in order to try to bleed my family dry without my dad being able to provide income for my family. Now, luckily, my family's very resourceful and has had other things prepared so that wasn't going to bleed us dry over 5 years, or bleed my mother dry in particular. So we survived those 5 years and got to the end of it. But for a lot of people, it doesn't work that way. And so it's the same thing when you demonetize someone, is you try to bleed their bank account, make them really desperate. So when you ban them, everybody's forgotten about them because they've been shadow banned. Everybody has maybe turned their back on them because they've been put on the naughty list. And more than that, when you ban them off of all platforms at once, they can't even get the message out and be a free speech martyr. They can't even tell people what happened to them. And they don't have any money in the bank account to pay the bills, which means fighting a 5-year-long legal fight that they could possibly not win and could end up having to incur legal fees on is just too daunting. If you've never been involved in a high-dollar lawsuit, it is very draining. I remember Tool took years to put out their last album that they put out, and they said it was because of this ongoing lawsuit. And people are like, what? How could a lawsuit slow them down? If you've never been involved in one of those serious lawsuits, man, they will drain you dry. There is a huge psychic cost to going to court. So that's the point of that. Then phase 3 is they ban you. This is where they finally kick you off of everything. They'll collude with each other. So YouTube, Twitter, it'll all go down so you have no way to get the message out. They even, with Stefan Molyneux, tried to kick him off of MailChimp, which meant he couldn't email people directly. Now, he's clever and kept a backlog, kept a backup of all of his emails. And so this is something that I recommend everybody do. So he could end up using another service or just kind of manually try to do it. MailChimp makes the automation and signing up for the list really easy. It reduces the labor overhead unbelievably. But if you get kicked off of something like MailChimp that has all those integrations, it can be a big negative thing. So you get banned off of all the platforms at once, and then you have no way, if you've silenced the person. The person has no way to challenge what has happened to them in the court of public opinion. Their only recourse is perhaps to try some sort of legal avenue, like to sue YouTube. But how are you going to do that when you're ass backwards in debt from them cutting off your money supply for all your content that you make? And of course, part of this too is that the part of demonetizing is they'll call your employer and have your employer fire you, so you get even more desperate. So you really can't continue. It's a full attack on targets in this case, and that's the process. So it's always phase 1, shadow banning. They cut you off from the basic function of the site, and then phase 2, they attack your money. In phase 3, they finally kick you off, and you don't have a whole lot of ways to fight once they kick you off because they've eliminated everything that you could use to fight back, or severely hamstrung you. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Sheng Long. So what is your prediction regarding this cancel culture? 1 year, 5 years out? So 1 year out, I think it's going to depend a lot on what happens with the election this year. So if Donald Trump wins the election, and if the Republicans have a good showing in Congress, I think there will be a rollback somewhat on the effectiveness of cancel culture from the corporate side, that is from YouTube and Twitter. I don't think it's going to stop as far as people attacking employers, ever. It'll probably never stop until it probably just won't stop. It'll only stop when it becomes completely ineffective. And that's going to be if all the people that are left to employ people stop just no longer care about being called about somebody's political opinions. That a bunch of messages about how evil this guy was, about saying women shouldn't be serving in the front lines of the military or something, that there's just, the response is, we don't care. Go away. We will not fire someone for their political opinions. It really has to do with corporations having to step up. And I think that eventually they'll have to do it because there'll be no one left to employ. And all the corporations that engage in cancel culture will start to lose market ground and be replaced by others. So that could be, 1 year out, I think if the Republicans lose, you're going to see it intensify even more and things will get much worse, to the point where you basically can't work and be publicly voting for a Republican even, much less be someone a little bit further to the right than a standard Republican. 5 years out, I think you'll have, it could go so many different ways. But I think 5 years out, if the Republicans win, I think cancel culture will be a much more subdued thing. I think if the Democrats win, it'll also be subdued because it will have already run its course. And there really won't be a whole lot of dissidents left in America. They'll be silenced or so marginalized that the normies really won't be aware of them, and nor will the people on the social media. A hidden benefit of social media is once you kick everybody off who disagrees with you, you think you've won. They're just off talking in different channels in different areas. So you're always going to be playing catch up, trying to swat flies with people who have different opinions from you. Anyway, so that's kind of what I see 1 to 5 years out. And I see, in general, if social media keeps on, I see a return to things like bulletin boards that are more closed, so that people can engage with targeted discussions without having to worry about this kind of stuff. So that's one of the big things that I think I'll see. I think people will start abandoning social media because it's not fun anymore. Regarding your advice from your recent blog post to be anonymous if possible, does this also apply to publishing books by using a pen name or just social media? It depends what you want to do, Hardwick. So if you want to promote your books on social media, then you should use a pen name for both. You should operate with a pseudonym, and you should post your books with a pseudonym if possible. Now, I'm on camera using my real name, my real face, but if it's possible for you to do it, then you should do that, I think, with a pseudonym, because you have to think about the eventuality. They're going to cancel, they're going to, let's say you have a screen name that's like, Hardwick Bento. That's your screen name. Well, they kick him off of Twitter, and Amazon delists all of his books and kicks him off the platform. Well, they didn't track down your bank account and cancel your bank account because they didn't figure out who you were, or you've managed to keep your identity separate. Maybe you had an LLC that was publishing everything to, again, you have several layers removed. An LLC is a limited liability corporation. So you can have a limited liability corporation publish all your books, and then if someone's trying to figure out what does that pen name mean, it's like, it just points to this LLC, and that's the end of it. We don't know who owns that, or whatever it's going to be. It's in trust. It's in a secret trust or something, a private trust. And so you can protect yourself that way. So at least you can continue to use the banking system. And one of the things I want to point out is that this stuff really happens as your head starts to pop off. If your head is popping up above the others, it's going to get cut off. So if you're a nobody, chances are nobody's going to care. If you're a somebody, that's when people start to care. But let's say you get banned off Amazon, you can always republish those books under a different pen name. Ta-da! And you have to start again at kind of ground zero, but you can kind of keep doing that. So if you plan on promoting with your social media, you can do both. If you're going to have those separate, then it doesn't matter. I would use a pen name to publish in certain genres that I think are just way too far out from what I normally do. So if I was publishing a romance novel, I'd probably use a pen name, or obviously erotica, because that can also come back on your real life in a negative way too. If someone's like, someone at church could get upset at you for publishing a romance novel and ask for you to be excommunicated or something, right? Or tell you try to get you kicked out of church. You're not welcome. Thoughts on Trump banning TikTok? I think he should. TikTok is Chinese spyware. It is. And it's also a place where like pedophiles congregate. TikTok, I don't use TikTok. I will never use TikTok. And I was telling this to my brother-in-law, and he got real upset and like scoffed at me and a friend of mine because we're like, TikTok is awful. I'm never putting that on my phone. It's basically malware. You shouldn't have TikTok anyway. But people don't listen to warnings. They're like, how could something be bad if it's on the App Store? So I think that would be a ballsy thing to do. It's not going to have any kind of effect on the election, but it's a very big symbolic thing to ban a Chinese social media app. No, you don't get to operate our social media with your Sesame Credit or whatever they have there, whatever they call it. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Is it called Sesame Credit? They have a whole system where basically your ability to have presence in the greater culture is determined by this credit score thing, and a social credit score, and we already have that now. That's why people get banned. I'm finding your City of Silver book oddly refreshing. Thank you for reading it. It's actually one of the first books I wrote, but I had to do a lot of editing and rewriting to publish it because, your early work is just not going to be up to the standards of your later work. That's reality. The first time you do something, you're not going to be good at it, and it takes a lot of practice to develop chops for writing fiction or prose or writing music, anything that you happen to be doing. So it's usually a good idea to plan to have some of your early work just not be that good. So City of Silver started off as a really short thing that I wrote for my wife, and I ended up writing like this 300,000 word plus epic, and so then I had to go back and rewrite a lot of it because it just wasn't that good, and I needed to fix a lot of things that were pretty cringy and just not good. Sound Engraver, thank you for the $10. There's been a cultural push to do YouTube for your business, mainly from motivational speakers. Do you think this mistreatment of content creators will reach the awareness of normies? I think eventually it will. It's a question of how long it goes on. There's this constant, quote, wisdom. It's not really wisdom at all, which is like, if you just stick to the business, then you're never going to have any problems. And the truth is, not really. It has a lot more to do with who you are and what you represent. For people using YouTube for your business, it depends what kind of content you make, A lot of people hear things like that from motivational speakers, and then they get upset that no one watches their YouTube content. You got to put out a lot of stuff and over a long time and see what people like, and you never know quite what people are going to dig from you ahead of time. So you just got to try it for a long time. I think normies are already aware of it, but most normies are so brainwashed at this point that they aren't really aware of the extent to which independent voices are at risk on social media, because they still will think that like Milo Yiannopoulos is like a Nazi or something, as a gay man, that he's a Nazi. They just aren't aware. They kind of eat what they're told. And it's only after a long period of displeasure that they'll start to actually disengage and stop listening. And I don't know how long that'll take. I really don't. I think most people that are going to be red-pilled, most of them have already been red-pilled at this point. And that's the great benefit of the internet and social media, is that we had an opportunity for 10 years to basically change the minds of tons of people. And we did it. But there was a consequence to that, which is the companies that started to get converged did not like that bad ideas were being promoted. So I think it's I don't know. And for me, if I have the opportunity to be honest about something and I don't take it, if I choose to be silent, that's a moral problem for me, right? It's like if, it's kind of like a denial of faith, right? Like you wouldn't deny your faith or stand mute if somebody asked what your faith was. You affirm it because that's important. That's who you are. So yeah, I kind of look at it like that. Government already has Skype and Twitter and stuff for military stuff. They do. Let's see here. I'm still surprised people keep talking about Comicsgate. I'm not surprised. Like, there's a small group of people that kind of stuff really matters to them for some reason. And all of my friends that were in it, we were all in it early on, like OG Comicsgate. We all moved on really quickly, and we're all way past that now. Comicsgate makes a convenient boogeyman, I think. Some industry people seem fixated on it. Some industry people do, but the industry people that are most fixated on it are the industry people who no longer work for Marvel and DC. They're the most fixated on it, which is going to be like Mike S. Miller and Ethan Van Sciver and Malin and guys like that. They're the most fixated on it because they need it to be a thing so that they can sell their books. They need it to be a thing so that they can have followers, that they can't... it's just part of their identity at this point. Whereas the people in this industry are probably like, yeah, Comicsgate's a bunch of weirdos. They haven't changed their opinion on it, even as it's kind of fallen apart. But, it depends. Like, some people are really fixated on things like that, and same thing with Gamergate. There's people, the gaming journalists are like they're like, Gamergate this. It's like, Gamergate, why are you talking about Gamergate? That's like 10 years ago at this point, That's actually a very salient point. We're well past the point of simply calling out the problem. Those with the ability need to create the alternative. Yeah. Some celebs, including J.K. Rowling and Noam Chomsky, signed an anti-cancel culture petition. I love this. And Carrie Greenridge and Jennifer Flenny Boylan have already rejected their signatures and apologized. Yes, because we signed with the evil Voldemort. She who shall not be named, J.K. Rowling. At least these people will be forced to read another book at some point. Like, read some more books, guys. And Harry Potter's not bad. It really isn't. And I've made content about why Harry Potter doesn't suck, and it doesn't really deserve the hate that it gets. But there's great stuff that's not Harry Potter. You should not just read Harry Potter. Not everything's Harry Potter. Not everything needs to be a Harry Potter reference. That's it. Like, we can't have our names on... We can't agree with someone that we don't like, right? Someone that's bad can't agree with me. That would be bad, even though we signed the thing because we both agree with it. We signed it because we both agree with it. Chances are it's like you and Hitler might agree that mountain spring water is quite refreshing. Well, now I can't drink mountain spring water because Hitler might have liked it and he's bad. Like, this is a ridiculous kind of purity testing. But I find it very funny because their chickens will eventually come home to roost and there'll be no one left. It's just an endless struggle session. Self-abasement, humiliation rituals. Just don't do it. Don't even be tempted to do it. Don't be tempted to say not the truth ever. And then you will never feel... Like, I will not feel bad if this channel gets banned this year. I won't. If this channel gets banned, I'll put out an email said, my channel got banned, guys. It's been a great, 6 years or however long I've run this channel. I really appreciate your viewership over the years. You can continue to watch all the videos at BitChute or on the Storycraft channel for those of you who are interested in stories. And I'm out. I'm not gonna continue. It's a waste of time for me to do more than that. It's just an opportunity to do something else too. What do you think about the concept of someone creating a YouTube channel with the purpose of getting as many normies subscribed to their channel as possible and then red pilling them? I'm pretty sure PewDiePie is doing that, and I approve. It's like subtle. He does like subtle red pill stuff, but he really needs to like step up his game and just never apologize again. What can we even do at this point? Every alternative platform gets nuked from orbit. Yeah, and this is the other thing about deplatforming, right? Is it's like, I have my own website, I have my own storefront, well, the payment processors ban you, and guess what? Your host just terminated your contract. Your host just took your website down. This was a problem with Gab. Andrew Torba cannot bank. He has no access to the banking system. He couldn't find anyone that would host Gab.com or Gab.ai, whatever the address is. And basically he's completely removed from like the bestial economic system in every way. Finally caught a live stream. Here's a tip. Thank you, Scott Lanu. I do appreciate that a lot. So, it's hard. And the truth is they're not really an alternative because what makes social media valuable is that the people are here. If I make videos on BitChute, I love BitChute for what it is. It's going to be really demoralizing for me to spend time making a really informative video, put it up on BitChute, and watch it get 30 views. It's going to be very demoralizing. I'm not going to do it. I think Thulian perspective, Varg Vikernes, who was... if you don't know who he is, I'm not going to go into... He's Burzum. He's the guy behind Burzum. His YouTube channel got shut down. He says, maybe I'll still upload stuff to BitChute, maybe not. But the truth is, if you're not uploading to YouTube, you're just acquiescing to nobody watching you. it's a technical monopoly. Same thing with Facebook. You're not going to go to a Facebook alternative because your friends are not on that alternative. Thus, it's not a Facebook alternative. Only alternatives are the ones with people already on them, which means there are no alternatives because people won't get on every single platform. They get on one. The whole conundrum makes you want to go back to visiting 4chan regularly. 4chan is like a social media thing, but you're forced to be anonymous. Well, you're not forced, but you're anonymous. So it has anonymity baked into it. People are way more honest on 4chan than they are anywhere else on the internet, including Reddit. Reddit is become basically just a little, a little microcosm of 1984 at this point. I never go to Reddit. I don't recommend anybody use Reddit ever. But if you do use Reddit, know that you're going to get banned. You're going to get banned from like every subforum. There's no free speech there. There's no free speech here. There's no free speech. There's no such thing as free speech. The freest speech you can have is like printing pamphlets out of your printer and then trying to distribute those. And then at some point, it's like your printer won't print things that have naughty words in it. It's like your printer will shut down. You'll just have to scrawl things with charcoal onto tree bark and hand those out to people. Please listen to my idea. Please take in my ideas and consider them. Why is this on tree bark? I've been banned from buying paper. I have no bank account. I can only pay my debts in Mardi Gras doubloons. That's the end result of it. If you don't bow down and worship Satan, you'll be removed from the economy. That's in the book of Revelation. We're kind of witnessing it now. Now I don't know if that's something specifically for end times or if it's a general thing. But if you don't receive the mark of the beast, is received by worshiping Satan. And to me, worshiping Satan involves just basically saying things that you know aren't true. So there may be some like very specific tests, like you have to put out a pro-trans statement. It was gays before, now it's trans. So if you put out a pro-trans statement, you can still use the economy. If you refuse, you don't get a bank account. When it comes to banning people across multiple platforms within minutes or hours, there isn't a coincidence. And there's no way. They maybe like they're all watching each other. Okay, he got banned off YouTube. Now's our chance. But that's still collusion. When the person creates the channel, the content would need to be very centrist or even a little leftist. Once their subscriber base has 10 million, they hardcore red pill everyone. Is there any reason at all to even hope for anything to ever get better, or should we all just end game and get it over with? The more I hear, the less I hope. Yes. Well, first of all, our mission here can never fail because God has promised that. So take hope. If there are struggles, those struggles are there to make you more spiritually pure, to prepare you. So no, the mission can't fail. Things can get better, and they will get better in many ways, but that doesn't mean there won't be struggles ahead. You should prepare for basic eventualities. Everyone should own a gun in case there's civil unrest, for instance, and there's been civil unrest. You should own at least one gun, preferably multiple guns, lots of ammunition. 1,000 rounds of ammunition for your preferred weapon at the minimum, I would say. Or close to that number. 1,000 rounds is a good amount to hold. If you can hold 10,000, that's better. If you can hold more than that, that's even better. Right? Because you're going to have to practice. You should be well practiced, know how to use your gun. If you don't own a gun yet, I recommend a 12-gauge shotgun. It's very versatile. You can shoot trap with it. You can load it up with bird shot, shoot somebody with bird shot, and that won't kill them most of the time. And you could load it with buckshot, which is very deadly. Slugs, which are very deadly. You can hunt deer with it. You can hunt birds with it. You can hunt ducks with it. It's very reliable, easy to break down, easy to clean, very plentiful ammunition. 12-gauge shotgun shells are everywhere, and it's really easy to store the ammunition. Lots of people like to buy it by the case. You could buy it by the pallet if you wanted to. It's always good to have a couple cases of 12-gauge shotgun shells sitting around, various kinds. So there you go. That's my recommendation. So yes, there's lots of reasons to hope. Lots of reasons to hope. Oh, super chat from Shinyoko. Thank you. In regards to the HP is not everything the point. There's also seemingly everyone thinking every villain needs to be an analogy for Hitler or fascism. It's because they don't read history and they literally know nothing about anyone. They just know Hitler was bad because they watch Indiana Jones or like Captain America or something. So Hitler's the bad guy because they literally don't know of anyone else who's bad in history. And if you mention them, they wouldn't know why that person's bad. They don't really know why Stalin's bad. They don't know why Mao was bad. In fact, they probably listen to people who talk about how good Mao was. They wouldn't know why Genghis Khan was bad or why Attila the Hun was bad. They wouldn't even know why Sulla might be bad. They wouldn't know. They don't, if you say we need a Sulla, they wouldn't be offended because they don't know who Sulla was. You know, the fact that you're recommending they get purged in the way that Sulla purged his enemies, that won't make sense to them because they don't read history books. They don't read enough history books to even know. They'll be completely confused about how Hitler came to power. They're like, he must have been some kind of evil genius to convince people, enough people, or he must have seized power violently. They won't even crack open a history book to learn about the guy they hate. So that's why it's always Hitler. That's why it's always Hitler. It's because they're idiots. They're blathering idiots, most of them. Who know nothing even about the person that they demonize. They don't know anything about Nazism, National Socialism, fascism. They endorse most fascist principles, economically and even socially, just towards a different political area. They endorse all the methods of the Nazis. There's been people on Twitter recommending re-education camps for anyone that's a Republican, right? Recommending they put people in death camps who are transphobic and stuff like this, right? It's they don't know anything about it. It's kind of part of like American mythology to an extent, part of the twisting of it. It's like people who want to lionize FDR, who put Japanese people in internment camps. We had concentration camps here in America for our enemies, our racial enemies during World War II, but we just kind of forget about that, or we try to justify it. We were justified in putting Japanese people in camps for reason XYZ, but the Nazis were not justified because they're bad. It's part of the belief that you have to be good, and that everyone on the Democratic Party was always good, even if they were absolutely awful. So yeah, they don't know anything about Hitler. That's why they always talk about him. Oh, I previously asked about the market for epic poems, but my main motivation for writing was just how bogged down the medieval fantasy market is with novels. I also just find poetry easier. You can do it. There's not an inbuilt market. There's no category for epic poetry that exists and is popular. Doesn't mean you can't do it. You can always be a maverick and do something totally different from what everyone else does, and it will create a niche, or it'll be unique, and it could be a big success, or no one could pay attention. But most people are looking like, what's the market for this like? And there is really no market for poetry. Poetry doesn't sell. Usually most poetry is chapbook kind of stuff that's sold to the friends of whoever's writing the poetry, to the poet, I mean. The person writing poetry, isn't that called a poet? Yeah, that's usually how it works. So there's no reason you can't do it, but you shouldn't do it expecting a big payout or a lot of people to read it. And if a lot of people do, bam, you've done it. It does have the potential to be something big because it's unique. Novelty is one of the key ingredients to viral success, but it's not the only ingredient, and it's certainly not a sufficient condition to create success. But it will differentiate you for sure. There's no reason that you can't do it other than you'll be spending effort on something that doesn't have an inbuilt market. That's all. If hypothetically my real name is John Smith, but I always use the name George Williams online for anonymity, would it be best to publish as John Smith or a new pen name like Fred Kirk? It'd be best to publish as Fred Kirk if you want as much protection as possible. If you want as much protection as possible. If George Costanza's porn name was Buck Naked, what would your romance author name be? I think it'd be like Sandra Hard or some Sandra Stone. I like 2 S's. Sandra Stone. Stone sounds like hard, like hard, rock hard abs, something like that. And Chuck Tingle already has a great name. We don't have access to guns in England. We just have the hope for the best, trust in the authoritative services. If you can get your hands on a shotgun, I think some people still have shotguns in England for birding. Boy, that's a useful tool. Or at the very least, get a lawnmower blade and a file. Make yourself a couple of cutting weapons, and don't tell anyone about them. I didn't say that. I didn't recommend you break the law. But if somebody were wanting to have weapons on hand, you could do that. If you wanted to. Now, this is always the thing about weapons, right? You can make them if push comes to shove. There's a lot of stuff you can make. Anyone that can own a firearm should own a firearm, regardless of where you're at. If you can own a firearm, you should own a firearm. It's a minimum basic item. You should own a pot to boil your rice, and you should own a shotgun. Nana Squid, please God, let it stop. Every day I lose a little bit more hope. Well, I'm sorry for that. But for me, it's like, it's going to be what it's going to be. It's God's will. So I'm just going to try to do what's right. Every wrong thinker is at step 1 right now on YouTube. Jared's buddy Sticks Hexenhammer keeps complaining about lack of growth, especially on YouTube. Yeah, everybody's at step 1, and then you're going to have... Now, he's like, Sticks Hexenhammer doesn't run ads, but he'll have, he'll have other things attacking his financial ability to do business. He'll get kicked off of Amazon, where he publishes all those occult books and stuff like that. So he'll start to suffer more financially, and then he'll be in a worse spot. He lives very lean. He doesn't need a lot of money to live, but he does need some. And then it's going to be harder for him to keep doing what he's doing. And then when they finally ban him, he's just not going to have a whole lot in the tank to fight back. It's an attrition thing. I can't believe I find myself nostalgic for Islamic terror. I recall being less stressed hearing about some ISIS attack than these left-wing loons and their antics. It's because it was less present, and you were watching it on TV when you chose to turn on the TV. Back in the early 2000s is when I'm remembering, prior to social media. Now, anytime you get on social media to enjoy the internet, you're still accosted with this nonsense. And it's also, I made this point in the video I put out today. Distress is an effective tool for keeping people on the platform too. And I don't want to cause people too much distress. Sometimes I have to do that black pill stuff because you got to be realistic and be prepared, but try not to lose too much hope. Don't be cynical. Don't, my thing is, you're here for a while. I'll be here for a while, and then I won't be. And that's just how it is. It's kind of like the samurai mentality. Just try not to let it get to you, because if I just deleted my YouTube, and trust me, I often consider deleting my YouTube channel. If I just deleted my YouTube channel tonight and woke up in the morning, how much freer would my mind be to operate towards things that matter, like my kids, their education, my wife, my bigger family, my community? How much more free would your mind be to do the things that matter if you weren't worrying about all this garbage? If you weren't being accosted by messages from CNN and the like? Much more free. You'd be much happier too. So I do recommend, if you can delete your Facebook, delete it, just because it'll make you happier. Hey y'all, hey Lobster. Yeah, basically if you say anything at all that's wrong, the likelihood of being banned on social media at some point is a lot greater. Yeah, and you can't accurately predict what will be wrong, because the goalposts are continually shifting to the left. So a position which was totally milquetoast in 2012 when Barack Obama was president, we shouldn't have gay marriage. That's Barack Obama's position. Totally milquetoast, everyone agreed. If you have that position now, you could get banned. So the longer you're here, the certainty of banning tends to go up. But you won't be targeted just because you said this or that. It's really targeting based on who you are, what you represent, whether your removal is good or bad for the order, let's say. To clarify, I want my general social media use, like comments, to be unconnected from any books I publish. Yes. So I would probably still use a separate pen name. I wish I had used a pen name and just thought more about it. It gives you more options. Like if you put out a book under a pen name and you want to switch genres, or you don't like that book, and you can just switch pen names, and do something different. It gives you a lot more options. People will say it's not censorship because it's not from the government. That's ridiculous. That's putting a special box around a thing called government, which doesn't exist. You can't touch government. Where's the government to hold in your hand? It's a concept. And the concept of government is something that has maybe the unilateral authority of force. Well, if the corporation can get the government to use force against you, guess what? It's part of the state too. There's no separation there. The corporation's using the power of the state to shield its actors from consequences of their actions anyway. Yeah, Comicsgate. Okay, so has been is now 89. Has been is now. Comicsgate needed to happen, but then it turned into a money-making shit show. I agree. It needed to happen, and it did happen. We should all move on and be working on independent stuff, and maybe encourage people to stop their addiction to Marvel comics, which they don't enjoy if they're at that place. GG is the Game Press name. They even have the flashbacks to. Oh, it's the Gaming Press Nam. It's their Vietnam. They even have flashbacks to it. I remember when a bunch of people on the internet told me my opinion was wrong. Oh, it keeps me up at night. All of these people telling me that my review was stupid. Oh, but I just wanted to give a good review to the woman I slept with. That's all. I just wanted to have some sex and put out a review for Depression Quest. I can't love dogs because Hitler loved dogs. Let's see here. I read Lord of the Rings when I was young because fellow students read Harry Potter and also spoiled the books for those around them. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is great. I read Lord of the Rings way before Harry Potter came out. What are your thoughts on the Screenwise panel? It's a program where Google pays you to let them monitor your web usage via router. And they send you a browser extension. I haven't heard of this before. I wouldn't do it. That's creepy to me, but whatever. Let's see here. Sorry, every time I try to scroll down to read comics, it's like jumps to the bottom. It's like, oh, you want to read the new ones? It's like, no, I want to go in order. 4chan is full of glow-in-the-darks now. There are feds found on there all the time stirring things up. Nowhere is safe. Yeah, 4chan's full of people like promoting really dumb ideas and everyone's aware of it. Like cuckoldry and things like that are just nonsense. That everyone's like, there's like 3 people doing this. Why are you doing this? They're like trying to incept the idea. I prefer 10 gauge, bigger shells, bigger bang. They're harder to find. But you can also get, the longer 12 gauge shells if you get a gun that'll chamber them. 10 gauge is harder to find. Way harder to find. It's kind of like 16 gauge. Like my dad used to hoard 16 gauge shells just because sometimes they're really hard to find. Those people also think Castro and Guevara are great leaders. Castro might have had Che Guevara killed. I use Reddit, but mostly I stick to subreddits like fan edits where political discussion isn't allowed. No sleep, horror short stories. Even if political discussion isn't allowed, they'll find you on some other platform and ban you from the stuff that you like using. That's just what's going to happen. They've been doing it for a while. Hey, you didn't violate the terms of service here, but you did over here, so now you're banned. There are no terms of service. That's just a distraction to make you think that there's rules that you can obey. The rules don't matter. There's no rules. The rules will change. It's going to happen. I visited a Japanese internment camp in Arizona once. It was interesting. I don't think I ever went to one. My sister went to one. I heard the Chinese view the state differently. The state is merely a legal entity that you swear your allegiance in the West. To the Chinese, it's an extension of the family. Boy, that's a really interesting and appropriate comment. Again, we put these boxes around here, and these are conceptual boxes. The Chinese, I don't want to speak entirely for the Chinese, but other cultures, let's say, don't view the state as this box. Rather, there's a continuum where it's like you, your family, and I've talked about this before, you, your family, your clan, your town, your state or province, all the way up to the nation has an extending effect of your allegiance and how bound you are to them. And that's kind of a fluid thing, and historically that's accurate. $100 from Matt Burton, thank you. Watched your stuff for years, thank you. Well, thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully I don't get demonetized, then that $100 will not just end up in YouTube's bank account. Because that's what they do. They don't give you the money back when they ban me. They keep it. How kind of them. But I really do appreciate it. I absolutely do. I heard the Chinese view this. Yes, okay. What about heat or hard? The hope is that the fact that the left will destroy itself. Contraception and abortion breeds them out of existence. Yeah, but they make you send your kids to their schools where they indoctrinate them with the ideas that will and that's a problem with them breeding themselves out of existence too, is that like there's demographic issues with that. You can warn them that they're just going to be replacing themselves with a different culture that doesn't have a positive view of them, but that doesn't really seem to get through to them. And as long as there's mandatory public schools, you're going to end up with, people being converted to the cause. They didn't have to have children to make your cousins and everybody else buy into stuff. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to give you guys a free book right now. So, let's see what we might want. Let's do... let's take a look at this one. Let's do 100. There's 100 people that watch this on the replay. You can get this book for free. And expiration date, we're going to make it expire Thursday. And we will save the download page. All right. So here's a free copy of City of Silver. And let's do a free copy of Tyrant's Gallow too. This is the early edition, so there might still be a couple typos in this one, so forgive me for that if you find typos. The reason is because this is like the pre-release. Okay, and there is Tyrant's Gallow. So you can get the first 2 books in this for free. Here's Tyrant's Gallow. A little bit thicker. They go to Pirate Island and have adventures on Pirate Island. It's fun. All right. So thanks for joining me, and thank you for the tips. Here's some free books for everybody as a result. $5 from Minutemen. I really appreciate it. I've been a proud follower ever since the aftermath of Last Jedi. Last Jedi was a wake-up call for lots of people, and I'm really thankful for that, actually, because it got a lot of people paying attention to what media was doing to them and asking of them. So I'm really glad of that. Shinyogo says, I'm finding your City of Silver book oddly refreshing. It's fast-paced and short-length compared to the recent books I've tried reading. I'm really glad you like it. Now everybody can read it for free and read the follow-up. You can get the ebook for free right there at those book funnel links. So you can check those out and get those for free. Let's see if there's any other good questions here. I plan on being a working actor, but it's such a left-leaning industry. I'm terrified of being blacklisted if they learn I'm right-leaning. Should I continue to lay low on social media? My advice is yes. Be anonymous on social media. If you're in that industry and you want to be in that industry, you need to be anonymous on social media, I think. Lay low. Have your official stuff be mostly blank and just don't use social media as yourself. Do you think your books would be as... Now I should give a speech where it's like, everybody should use their real name and we should all stand up for it. It's like, the first priority is survival. You need to do what's going to ensure that you're able to operate and spread the ideas that you think are important anyway. You may be able to have a conversation with someone over coffee that changes their mind that could affect the world. You never know. So yeah, I would be anonymous. Separation of tech and state now. Yeah. Do you think your books would be as successful as they are if you'd used a pen name? Also, do you think it's best to use a real-sounding pen name or an odd one, like in Greek? I think they would have actually possibly done better with a pen name because my name is so boring-sounding. Yeah, it's one you've heard of. It's basically like a name like John Smith. It's a very, very common first name, last name combination. So it's really good. I think it might have done even better if I'd used a more interesting pen name, actually. Do you think America will eventually balkanize due to identity politics? It's already balkanized, but it's not geographically balkanized, and that's the danger. This is why an actual civil war could happen, is that if you look at the War of the Roses, for instance, it wasn't a civil war or series of civil wars based on this region versus this region, the way that we usually think of it in the U.S., like North versus South. But rather, it was this family versus this family, this group of this political entity versus this political entity. So I could foresee a civil war that's entirely based on the politics involved, because that's what most civil wars actually are. They're actually centered around politics, not geographic locations. And the fact that they are becoming so divorced and one side wants the other dead so bad. Eventually, that is a possibility. Everyone's like, "Oh, it can't happen." It's like it could happen. A lot of people didn't see the Lebanese civil war happening. If you have just a slight tipping of the scales towards extremists, it could happen. Now, that's not to say it will happen. It's a possibility. I don't think it's super likely. I think it's just going to be a long road towards any resolution that's there. I've heard some people say that they held certain positions and beliefs that were liberal at one point, but are now seen as conservative position. Now it's bad. Yeah, totally. Like saying, "Oh, I think gays should be able to have civil unions and have a contract recognized by the state, but not be married." It's like, you're a bigot and you should die and never be able to work again. Shoot, either one. Hopefully you can never work again and you'll kill yourself because we hate you for saying that. How hard is it to make your own 12 gauge shells, or any caliber for that matter? So here's what you need to load. Here's what you need to auto load. I don't have my setups like all set up, but if I set it up, I'll give you guys a video on how to get into basic hand loading. Shotgun shells, you can buy all this equipment. You need a press, you need brass. Making your own brass is not going to be feasible for your average person, so I wouldn't even bother. But you need the brass, you need a press, you need bullets in the appropriate chamber, you need powder, and you need primers. I'm counting on my hands, you can't see them. So you need a press, you need, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot dies. You need press, you need dies for your appropriate caliber, which will basically seat the bullet properly. Bullets, powder, the appropriate powder for what you're trying to do, and primers. And then you can make your own, you can load your own ammunition. Now, the thing about that is, you need to look up what kind of powder you need to use with some reloading manuals, because they'll have lots of guides for what you need to put into. I have a whole bunch of old school reloading manuals, so if the internet goes down, I can still load ammunition. Okay, I can still be reloading my guns. But you can look it up online now and figure out, oh, I need to use this many grains of Hoppy's number 9. So is that a powder solvent? I need to use this many grains of this powder in this load, and for this weight bullet, it'll travel approximately this muzzle velocity. And, you can figure out all that kind of stuff. What's great about hand loading is that factory ammunition is often rather weak compared to what you can actually load. So we think of maybe a 38 Special as not being a particularly powerful round, but I've loaded 38 Special that when my friends shot it, they're like, "What did you put in this? This is like way worse than a 357 Magnum." I'm like, "Put some hot stuff in it is what I put." A big old Smith and Wesson can handle it. It's like that gun can handle it. Don't worry about it. So that's the basic stuff you need to do shotguns. You have shotgun shells. It's a different press setup, but it's the same idea. You need the bullets, which is going to be the shot, the size and type of shot you want to use. You need shot cups. You need the appropriate powder, and you need a machine that will crimp the shells, and you need the spent shells. So an easy way to do shotguns is buy a bunch of shells, go trap shooting, scoop up all your shells, go home and load them with what you want to try out. And then you can usually get through a couple of different shootings of shotgun shells. The plastic shells are actually pretty resilient, so you'll be surprised how easy it is to reload your own shotgun shells. That's what you need. I wouldn't try making your own shells. Now, if you want to try making your own powder and bullets, boy, you can do that, but you are in muzzle loading territory. And if you want to get hardcore into muzzle loading, that is a whole different world. You can make your own black powder. Yes, you can. James T. Kirk did it in Star Trek. You can do it too. You just have to find the appropriate chemicals and mix them together. You can even make saltpeter on your own. They used to make it with cow urine on straw, but if you're not particularly squeamish about your own body fluids, you can actually make saltpeter by drying your own urine, and you can make gunpowder with it. And you can put that powder into your muzzle loader. Put that 50 caliber bullet into your fine Thompson Center rifle and fire one time upon something that you wish to no longer exist, and you make a whole lot of smoke and do a whole lot of damage. 50 caliber is what they shot in the Civil War, and it is nothing to turn your nose up at, man. It can do a lot of damage. And you can get 50 caliber sabot rounds for your muzzleloader too. But you can get dyes and cast your own bullets too. That's the other thing you can do. If you really want to go hardcore, you can get dyes. There are a whole bunch of ones you can get. You can make silver bullets, guys, if you want to. If you want to make your own silver bullets, you can get a 1 ounce shotgun slug dye and just put silver in it. You can go werewolf hunting. Have so much fun with that. Where was I? What was I? I was just talking about reloading for like 10 minutes. I missed a bunch of stuff. It looks like your book funnel lists are already at limit somehow. They shouldn't be. Oh, you know what? It says redeemed. Let me redo those real quick. It's because people already downloaded that many. I was trying to set up a new one. Let's make it 1,000 for now. All right. Let's try that again. It's because I've already given away well over 100 copies of all of these. So let's fix that. Let's add an extra 0. All right. There you guys go. Now they'll work. Now they will work. They'll expire in 2 days, though. I had to set that up. I feel like people in the West tend to have a sense of self-righteousness compared to other cultures. Why do you think that? Because we're very individualistic, and part of being an individual is that you think what you were doing as an individual is right. So I think self-righteousness goes along with that. About pen names again, is it a problem if a pen name sounds too fake? What's the best way to make one sounding interesting without alienating people? Honestly, I wouldn't worry about it, but you can just put 2 first names together. Robert Jordan. You could be James Roberts, James Patrick. 2 first names put together always tend to sound pretty good. James Anthony, Michael Anthony, Timothy David even. Just put 2 first names together. They always sound right. Timothy David sounds Jewish, but you know, it could work. Still doesn't work. It says this offer has expired. All right, let's try it one more time, guys. You're right. Today is July. I'm going to do July 10th. All right, let's try them one more time. It's because I'm reusing old download links. Is the problem. And I should have made new ones, but I was trying to be fast. Is the problem. Edit it. All right. Okay, now they'll work. Never trust a person with 2 first names. Oh, wait. All right, so that'll work. Yeah, 2 first names works pretty good as a pin name. All right, we've spent a bunch of time talking about social media stuff. Let's have some fun. Let's escape to a land where there is no social media. Would you ever consider writing for a video game? Yes. You think that would be more or less challenging than writing for a book. Depends on the nature of what you're doing with it. So gameplay comes first. Writing for a game can be very easy, or it can be very hard. I've done some work in the video game industry before, trying to work with basically rewriting other people's stuff. That's really hard because you're trying to, someone's like, I don't like what I did, or I don't like what this person did, fix it. And so you look at it and you're like, well, I don't know what needs to be fixed, but we'll see what we can do. It's really hard to satisfy customers in that way. It's kind of what I find. So, all right, let's play some Oblivion. I was thinking of like Link to the Past randomizer. Do you guys want Link to the Past, or do you want Oblivion? Do you think that ethnic pen names, Greek, German, French, etc., are a good way to make them interesting? Yeah, I don't think there's a downside to an ethnic pen name, but there's limits, right? Like if you name if it sounds kind of Greek, that's fine. But if you're using like a Greek name that's very foreign to English speakers, you might run into a small problem. Can you fix The Last of Us 2? Yeah, all you have to do is take the disc and you apply pressure to both sides of the disc, and you'll know that it's fixed when there's you hear a loud cracking noise, and that's how you know you fixed The Last of Us 2. Oh, those old school Lord of the Rings games on Xbox. Yeah, those were cool. Those were actually really cool. Kingdom Come Deliverance. I don't think I have it installed right now, but maybe I'll do that next time. Let's see if we can get a little further in our Dark Brotherhood quest here. Oh man. Listen to that music, guys. You can see my messy desktop for a minute there. Finished Dragon Age Origins last week. Impregnated Morgan, married the queen, and kept Leliana as a mistress. That's my favorite ending too. Playing Noble Human was awesome. Finished 2, and I'm in Inquisition. Inquisition was probably the one I liked least, believe it or not. Dragon Age 2 was a disappointment, but Inquisition was really boring to me. I just really did not enjoy the gameplay of it at all. Maybe I'll go back and finish it one of these days. I didn't find the story that interesting, and I just didn't really like the gameplay. As far as guns go, electromagnetic railguns are probably the way of the future. I don't know how to make them though, but I know how to make things that go bang and go boom. Things that go bang and go boom are going to be effective. Or you can look up, for those of you who happen to be in England, might I suggest, what channel am I thinking of? You can look up how to make your own crossbow at home out of surgical tubing and like some like dowel stock. You can make a very effective crossbow on your own. That will be a very good defensive weapon if you need it to be. You got bored too. All right, I think I killed all the people, and I have to go back and claim my reward.
Have you been? No! No! Stay away from me!
Oh, that's right, I'm a vampire. What time is it? 6:53 a.m. I'm gonna have to stay here all night. Might as well. Might as well pick the lock and go steal some stuff. Not Scalagrim. Man, who am I thinking of? He's a Brit. Todd's Workshop. He's got all kinds of stuff for how to make your own crossbows. He makes his own medieval crossbows and stuff like that. You can check out his channel. In fact, I might make one for fun, just because I think it'd be a fun project with my son. We'll make like a little slingshot crossbow. Or York Sprave's channel, the slingshot channel. He's got all kinds of, like, make your own hand repeating crossbows and stuff. He's got all kinds of stuff like that. That's cool. David is the modern MacGyver. Me or fire pokers equals modern Maddox. They're repulsed by you in this game. In this game? They're repulsed by me in the game. Oh, just in the game. Well, that's. I thought they were always repulsed by me. What do you mean in the game? All right, you gotta have to wait for like 12 hours. You like playing the Dark Brotherhood, but you don't like killing people as Abby? Well, they're not asking. I'm not being forced to kill people I like, am I? Also, look at these aesthetics, okay? Oh, nope, the sun's still up. Look at that beautiful sunset before I die. I love this music. Man, this music. This music gets me. Turn it up just a little bit for you guys. See, they're all like going to bed right now. No, they're going down to enjoy drinks. They're done with their daily work. See? I love this clarinet line. Man, I'd like to just record a whole album of this kind of stuff. This little chamber music sound. All right, where are we going? I'm seeing a red marker. Oh. Oh yeah. Talk to the dude about Glarthir. Glarthir is a way that you can start the Dark Brotherhood quest pretty easy, but we're already there. So we're gonna head back to Shadenall. Abby had better pecs. Yeah. Abby has Arnold's body with like kind of a girl's face. It's very, it's a very off-putting aesthetic. I made a whole video on that. People got real upset about. People get real upset whenever I say anything that's true. I'm like, Abby doesn't look good. And they're like, who are you to say whether a woman looks good or not? I'm like, well, I mean, it's the body of a woman using anabolic steroids. Oh my. Oh, it's behind me. It's over here. Here we are. I went to the wrong gate. There's a theory that superheroes replaced Westerns as the modern American myth due to collective disillusionment with the Wild West myth, due to iconoclastic revelations about history. I don't know. I don't know everything that goes into constituting how a trend ends up perpetuating itself. Honestly, she looks like an MTF trans. Exactly. Well, I mean, if you take a bunch of tests, that's basically what a male to female trans person is doing. In order to be trans, you're taking lots of gear.
Ah, yes, that is an Argonian heart. Of that I'm sure. You have slain Scartail. Well done. Please take these boots as payment for your services. They're called the Boots of Bloody Bounding and carry a powerful enchantment. I'm sure you will find them most useful.
The problem with getting stuff like this is that like the Boots of Bloody Bounding is like I have this whole gear that comes as one thing. So, if I put them on, I'm just like naked. And it has 5 acrobatics and 5 blade, or I can just put on the Shrouded Armor, which has 8 acrobatics.
You walk always in the shadow.
I thought the police procedural replaced the Western. It might have. Where's Ochiva? Compass, show me. Where is my master? She's in her room, where she would be.
Well done. Not only did you kill the 5 guests,
Ooh, we
you
got a
acted as an
permanent
agent of
+2
terror
to sneak
and greed.
and security.
You have earned your reward and bonus,
acrobatics.
assassin.
And
I
blade.
lay upon you now the Night Mother's blessing.
And
May
marksman.
she walk with you always and guide your hand as you act in accordance with the 5 tenets.
Abby is a Mortal Kombat character. Fatality equals the Joel in 1. How do you feel about the KOTOR remake remaster rumors from months ago? I wasn't aware of them. KOTOR is one of my favorite games. I'm not sure if a remaster or a remaster that like kind of upped maybe texture quality would be maybe welcome. As long as I don't mess with the aesthetics too much. It aesthetically was a great game. It just was great. It's just a great game. One of my recommendations is that game there. I walked out without getting another contract. See, he's got this enchanted sword. I love how it glows.
Greetings once more, assassin. When you're ready, I have a most important contract. One that has been sanctioned by the Black Hand itself.
Apparently Abby from The Last of Us 2 is not trans. There's actually a different character who's trans in the game. I know that, but she has the body of a trans woman. or trans man, because she has the body of a man. She has the body of a woman who's taking male hormones. It's modeled after a woman who takes male hormones. If you were to shave her head and give her a beard, she'd look like Buck Angel, a female to male trans person. Hence why I said she was trans. She looks that way.
Do you recall the name Adamus Philida? The
It's a man's
Imperial
body.
Legion best? It's time he joined Sithis in the Void. Think you're up to the task?
What's your opinion of bullpup rifles? Even though they have longer barrel and shorter package, the triggers suck and the felt recoil is amplified. They don't bother me. I've never been bothered by recoil in general, though. So, like, whenever someone complains about recoil, I'm like, especially in a rifle, I've never experienced recoil that bothered me. Maybe I'm just, like, really, I don't know. I got a lot of fat on my shoulder or something. I don't know. But the triggers are something that can be fixed, though. And a lot of modern rifles or assault rifles, they make the trigger intentionally pretty stiff because you don't want to fire on accident. It's the same thing with like a modern M4 or M16, anything on the AR-15 platform. Trigger's fairly, on its normal way, it's a fairly squishy and not very good trigger.
Adamus Philida has spent his entire career investigating the Dark Brotherhood.
But didn't you have to ask the question, why try to make everything so compact? Like, what's the point of the compactness? There's obviously options, but it's not. Why emphasize that?
And was surrounded by powerful associates. Now the Legion pig's ears.
Oh, I like this one. We get to shoot him with like a poison arrow that's like especially for him.
Philida must not
Yeah,
be allowed
bullpup rifles are cool. I think they look really cool. They just don't. I don't think they're really like a necessary design direction.
In the City Watch barracks.
Like, do you need to have a rifle be shorter?
He is in fact more vulnerable than ever.
Is that like maybe? I'm sure there's plenty of situations where a shorter rifle is good, but if you get to that point, like, wouldn't an Uzi with a stock also work, like a submachine gun, also be very, very functional? Kind of interesting. Like, we want all the barrel length of a rifle, but we want it in a compact form factor, because maybe we're fighting in places where we don't have a lot of room to maneuver a rifle. In which case, you probably don't need all that barrel length either. You could probably do with a submachine gun. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the design niche of it is, but somebody who's more knowledgeable probably knows. Tarzan equals the first superhero. I heard arguments, and it fits quite well. I agree. Like, he does kind of fit that. He's got a lot of things going for him in that way. Very inspirational. What must I do,
The Black
Achieva?
Hand has sanctioned the Rose of Sithis. It is a magic arrow specifically enchanted to kill.
Do you think they
its
initially
target,
intended her to
in
be
this
trans and
case,
changed it?
Philida.
I think that they
As long as the arrow
didn't.
hits Philida,
I think they
shoot
wanted her
while-
to be a masculine
but it
woman because they
cannot
don't like the
pierce
female
armor.
form.
Shoot while Philida is armored, and the rose will be
There's a really basic thing to
Travel to Leo.
feminine versus
Track
masculine
Philida.
form.
Learn his schedule. Observe
Very, very
when he
easy.
removes that
Masculine?
blasted Legion
You guys can
armor,
see me here.
and then
Never mind.
let
Masculine
fly
looks
the
like this.
rose of Sithis.
Feminine looks like this. Okay? So
Kill
things which are round on the
Philida
sides,
anyway,
it's going to
rose
look
or
feminine.
not,
Things
and
which
the
are
contract
angled
is
downward are
complete.
going to look
But to receive
male.
a bonus,
So they made
you
her
must go beyond
male in a
murder.
whole bunch of
You
ways, but
must send a message.
you don't really have an
Once
excuse for
Philida
making
is
something
dead,
look
take the very
masculine,
finger from
and not
his
knowing
corpse,
that. They knew
the
that.
one
They knew
that
they knew what they were
bears
doing
an
with her.
Imperial Legion signet ring.
we get to chop
Deposit
off his fingers,
in the
sweet.
desk of Philida's successor, in his office in the prison barracks, in the Imperial City. Do this, and the bonus is
I actually got into an
yours.
argument with someone the other day saying that Colleen Foch, Abby's body model, is 100% natural. You can ask any of the knowledgeable fitness YouTubers. Like, in fact, this would be a great question for someone like Greg Doucette, or like, I don't know if 3cc guy is around anymore, but Greg Doucette would probably field it. Natty or not, he'll tell you right away. He'd be like, "There's 0% chance this person is natty." He did a bunch of those like last year. There's no way that body is natty. Now, you may like the body, you may hate the body. It's not a natural body. A natural woman's body looks different from that. Even when she's really athletic. A high-class athletic woman just doesn't have that low a body. You don't get shredded like that without using a bunch of drugs. It just doesn't happen. Like, I remember seeing something, it's like, look at this great story of this girl who, she had anorexia and now she's a bodybuilder. I'm like, that's not healthy. You've gone from one unhealthy body image, low body fat, to another unhealthy body image of low body fat. Just one of them, she's loaded up on drugs and is muscular, and in the other one, she was skinny, and, you know, neither of those is healthy, really. Hopefully we'll mainly... Oh, we're talking about KOTOR. Hopefully it will mainly a graphics game mechanics update. Yeah. I don't... the only thing that they should change is to add the volcanic planet that apparently got cut from KOTOR. I don't know about that. I think it should just be fine the way it was.
Lies with the worms of water, thanks to you.
A graphical update might be nice, but you can go a couple different ways, because they modeled the Old Republic Online kind of after KOTOR as far as its aesthetic direction. It was kind of in that direction, and I didn't like it that much. So I think you have to be careful updating the graphics. It could be good. Obviously you don't want them to change the voice acting or the story. All of that's just basically perfect. Maybe higher quality models, and I don't know, it just had such a great feeling to it. It was just such a good game.
Will find no rest in retirement.
Alright, let's go kill this guy.
Go now, dear family member, and may the night mother wrap you in her cold, loving embrace.
Alright, we're going to go to Leowin, I think. Later, the mass use of mechanized and motorized infantry affected short rifle development to save space inside vehicles. Interesting. Taika Waititi described his approach to casting Valkyrie thusly. What I wanted was someone who was going to play the opposite and be even more of the guy character than the guys. It didn't work. She came off as a girl. What would you say is the greatest piece of fictional work that is misanthropic? Wow! Boy, that's a question. Greatest. I don't know if that means good or just like... I don't know. I don't think I can just answer that offhand. I'd have to really think about the stuff that was misanthropic and really like had a big impact. I don't know. Just kind of want to listen to this music. But Dave, they showed the backstory. There's a gym in their football stadium headquarters. Right. Yeah, there's got to have more than weights to look like that, as a woman at least. You got to have a lot of drugs. Maybe their steroids are still good after 30 years. I don't know. But I got a feeling the answer's no. But the thing is, like, they chose those aesthetics for very specific reasons and didn't want to give you other aesthetics. You know, there really wasn't a big story reason for that. Oh no, this is that'll make me die. Let's go in here. Have I got another chat going? I don't think so. I'm just trying to see the stuff as it goes by. Catcher in the Rye was pretty misanthropic. I thought it was kind of like a gamma thing, or like a virgin thing. I don't think it was misanthropic. I think it was about that guy.
Stop!
Oh, that's great. I'm reloading the save because the door didn't show me it was like a breaking and entering kind of thing. I need to hit that autosave button a little more often, or the quick save button a little more often. We'll go through this real quick. Let's see here. The KOTOR Sith had great aesthetic IMO. Republic was very reminiscent of the Rebellion era. I think so too. I think everything about the aesthetics in KOTOR were just on point. They just weren't super high polygon count kind of things. Oh, nope, still have sun. Catcher in the Rye, I mean, you can make a point that it's pretty misanthropic. I was thinking maybe something more like... I mean, there's been some popular stuff that's pretty misanthropic, like AI or... you know, The Day After Tomorrow. Oh, $5. Thank you, Shinyogo. Is it okay for a villain to just be evil instead of morally gray or sympathetic? Absolutely. They're better if they're just evil. They're more frightening. You actually take them as a threat seriously. You actually think that they could kill you, or that they'll actually do evil things. Versus someone who's morally gray, you're always kind of questioning whether they're going to do it. Yeah, it's totally good to have a completely evil character. In fact, I think it gets a little bit boring to try to view all characters as like good but corrupted, and nobody's really evil. Emperor Palpatine is evil. It's okay for him to just be the most evil dude ever. Okay? Embracing the Sith lifestyle means you're evil. And that's what makes him a good villain, is that he's really evil. What am I looking for? Let's get our reward from this dude. And we'll turn this in.
Well done. Greetings.
All right.
Go now to your family member and may the night mother.
All right, off we go. Yeah, I prefer villains to just be completely evil. I think they're way better that way. Got to Leywin. I'm gonna hop in the Mages Guild or whatever and try to drink some blood. Some things by Alex Garland, anything by Neil LaBute. LaBute, maybe. Alright, let's drop in the end here.
You should really get to a healer.
Should really get to a healer. You're looking rather pale. Now, where is the... Let's wait another 11 hours. Okay. What do you think of Gul Dukat from Star Trek Deep Space Nine as a villain? Gul Dukat. I'm trying to remember exactly which one he was.
Is everything all right?
He was one of the... He's one of the Cardassians, but I don't remember exactly which one. Because there was the one on the station. He wasn't really villainous. He was just kind of a... He's from his culture. If I'm thinking of, like, Gul Dukat, I think I'm thinking of the right one. I thought it was good. I thought the Cardassians were great villains. I thought they were excellent. Made excellent villains and were very, very compelling. Oh, $5 from Nicriz. I found you by chance when you uploaded daily as a challenge a long time ago. Your latest Blackpill video was incredible. Code David. I'm not intending to Blackpill people too much. I want people to be realistic about what they're doing and to have an approach that's not going to leave them all upset when inevitably, you know, they have to leave a social media platform. You know, we should treat it as, you know, the internet should be fun, and we should really view the internet as fun as much as possible. You know, I like the fun. I like the internet, and I like it to be fun. I don't want to go anywhere, but you know, probably will have to at some point. Oh well. But I appreciate the $5. I really do. Thanks for stopping by. I'm gonna try to do some more, like a bunch of daily videos, just more daily trending stuff, and of course, looking at girls in bikini will probably help that. Turns out putting them in the thumbnail only marginally, very marginally boosted viewership. People were curious about that experiment. It was not a big boost. It was pretty mild. It was like 10%, maybe. Maybe if that. Still, I mean, you could view it as worth doing, and it could have the potential to like blow something up. Because one of them actually did blow up. The one where I talked about Abby's body and about male versus female aesthetics, that one really blew up. So there you go.
What is it, associate?
There also wasn't a story reason for all of the dogs in Last of Us 2. Probably wasn't. It's just to make you feel ugly and sad. I'm going to talk about Spec Ops The Line this week if I can. I have like a kind of a hefty lecture planned for that. Spec Ops The Line this is getting compared to Spec Ops The Line, and I don't think it deserves that comparison. Spec Ops, frankly, is a much better game, and it's a game that does something very, very different from what... I need to drink some blood here. It does something very, very different from what The Last of Us 2 does. Those things are not there to make you feel bad. It's making a point because it's actually it's an adaptation of Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, which I talked about on another channel, Jesse White's channel this week. So I'll link that on a post this week at some point, so you can check that out. It's not about making you feel bad that you did something. It's about, in war you have to do things which are not pleasant, and then you have to deal with the aftermath of that, which is that you may feel bad about what you did, I'm gonna have to drop some stuff on the ground. Oh, I bet you I have like Crimson Eviscerator. That's not heavy. What do I have that's so heavy? A Stolen Iron Shield. Drop that. It's not worth anything. Got a bunch of heavy potions here. Maybe that's it. Stolen food. A bear pelt. Drop that. Okay. And I can also... Restore health. Uh-oh. Alright. Oh, whoa, that made my weight go up. I made a bunch of heavy potions. What was I thinking? I was thinking I would somehow lose weight doing this, but I didn't. It gained weight. What was I? What am I doing? Where did I find these heavy potions? There's probably like some potions that weigh a whole bunch. 5 pounds! Okay. Pick this stuff up later. Heart of Darkness is a very good read. Yeah, it was also, it was the inspiration for Apocalypse Now as well. Frankly, for occupying a whole planet and not exactly being nice about it, the Cardassians did a pretty good job. Only 10 million dead in planetary occupation. Yeah, at least Warhammer 40K does like the full Monty. They're like, the total death toll was 120 trillion. They like go, this galactic war killed 20 trillion lives. It's like, whoa. Whoa. How does one keep Amazon from banning your bank account? Oh, I missed that. Well, there's not a great way to protect yourself, but, there's just not. Amazon will ban books that they don't like the content of. So, like, I remember Roosh had a bunch of books banned on, like, being a pickup artist stuff. And then later he unpublished them because he's like, I'm promoting sin and I've had a religious conversion and that's bad. So, I'm trying to remember where I like to kill this guy. I think I like to kill him, like, over here or something. Kind of over in this corner here. All right. Let's go 5 hours. You don't have any tabletop games alternatives to Warhammer 40K? There's a bunch of old wargaming stuff. I'm really not the expert. I'm not the person to ask. There's other people that know like a billion times more. So Rose of Sithis. Nothing to say, just appreciating Tyrant's Gallery. Well, I appreciate that. It's not worth the $10 you just gave me. This is such a hard mission to do. Because you're always losing health. It's hard to be a vampire. It's tough being a vampire. But I do appreciate the $10 a lot. Thank you. M. Bison isn't a villain. He's a businessman. You know what? I bet you I could just, like, go in and kill this guy really easily. But I like to do it the way that they want. I didn't ask anybody about how to do it. I gotta... My daughter's upset. I'm gonna need to stop the stream after this, I think.
Right. What can I...
Yeah, I could probably find him in here. Yeah.
You have my ear, citizen.
Yeah, my daughter's super upset. I wonder what's up. Let's see if I could just kill him while he's sleeping. You're comfortable killing innocents for the Dark Brotherhood, but you don't like murdering Joel as Abby? Hypocrite much? I don't really have a problem doing it because I didn't buy the game to do it. I didn't support that game. But there's a difference between playing as an assassin, killing strangers for money, and killing the protagonist from the previous game. You know, makes a difference. Makes a slight difference. You'd be like, what? Why don't you think gangsters have a problem killing people they don't like? They don't kill their own mothers. Go to the middle of the night here. Would you consider making a video about your top 10 favorite fantasy RPGs? I'd really love your... Yeah, I could do that. Totally. That's a fun one. I could do video game RPGs. I don't know if I could do enough tabletop RPGs for it to, like, really be a thing. I haven't played that many tabletop RPGs to, like, give a top 10. But I could do, like, totally do computer RPGs. There's no one in here. Okay. It's because the compass may be pointing down here, huh? Where did he go? Is he out in Leowin? Where is this guy? Maybe I can kill him in a non-standard way. Does Amazon allow having separate accounts for buying and publishing? Yes, it does, actually. It absolutely does. So, yes, you can do that. Just video game RPGs is fine. Yeah, I'll probably do video games. That's probably not even that harder one to do. I know you're just messing with me, but I just, you know, it's an easy rant. It's an easy rant. Why don't you like killing the characters that everybody liked from the previous game? Why doesn't anyone like this? Why is it only game journalists who slept with our developers like this? You think Halo Infinite will be any good? Could be. I don't know. I meant your week. How was my week? It was good. Dragon Age Origins again tonight. How's your week going? It's going pretty good. I can't complain too much. I can get in kind of a bad mood if I'm doing a lot of black pill feeling stuff. But otherwise I'm doing okay. What's this? Jabari's house. I do not remember this town enough, clearly. Where's the Blackwood? There we go. There's the Mages Guild. Fighters Guild. They're over here. I have to drink more blood so that I can be outside and not get owned in the sunlight. That's slander. Nobody would sleep with Neil Druckmann. I was thinking more like the the female developers. You never know, man. I mean, people could be sleeping with Anita Sarkeesian for... I heard she was working on that project. So Anita could be like the source of the quid pro quo, let's say. All right, later, film girl. Film girl. Blah, blah, blah. There's got to be someone else around here sleeping. Got people staying up. Come on, sleepers. Sleepers, where are you? Not here. Aha! Feed. Drink his blood. According to Stoker, Dracula is only weakened in sunlight, not harmed. Well, I like when vampires burn up in the sun. Okay, that's what I like. That's the mythology I like, is when they burn up. Which Doom games do you have? I think I have all of them. I think I have all of them. I don't know if I bought... I think I bought the new one on the Steam sale. The Doom Eternal. If I don't have that one, that's the only one I don't have. I bought a bunch of Steam games on the Steam sale because it's Steam. But I don't know if I actually bought Doom Eternal. Anita gets less good looking with like each passing day, and I know I'm not. It's not a bag on her or anything. She wears makeup and stuff like every woman while she complains about it. But like, I don't know. I think maybe the ideology's getting to her. Feminists usually don't care to make themselves look very good. That's just what I notice. Would you consider playing Halo Infinite when it comes out? I think they said it might be open world. I don't think I would really want an open world Doom game. I'm not sure I want that. Earth is Bajor. We've been occupied by Kardashians and Sarkeesians. Do you have the console exclusive PSX and Nintendo 64 versions of Doom? No, I just have Doom. I didn't mean it like that. It's like the Nintendo Doom 64. Alright, when's this guy gonna come and swim? At some point he comes and swims here. So we're just gonna keep on here. Hoping we find this guy. Some people have theorized that Brie Larson will use YouTube's rule against creator-on-creator attacks to ban any videos criticizing her for any reason. I could see her doing it. But there's no rules. There's really no rules. You know, that's the big one I want to get across. We're all rule-minded people. We're thinking of rules. We're thinking of how we can obey the rules. We're thinking about what the rules should be. There's no rules. The rules are just a complete red herring. They're there to make you think that something which won't happen will happen, which is that someone will actually... That like you can avoid being banned. You're going to be banned not because you broke a rule, but because you're you. Okay? The rules don't matter. Even thinking, if you think too deeply about the rules, and you're going to get upset when you get banned. You know, the rules, you want to be smart. Like, you know, there's certain things that are going to get you banned, obviously. You know, this is why people are like, why won't you answer the Jewish question? I like having a YouTube channel. You know, be smart, obviously. But if you're spending a bunch of time trying to figure out what hate speech means, it means whatever they want it to mean in whatever moment. They won't enforce it on their side because that's not what matters. It doesn't really matter what hate speech is or is not. The only thing that actually matters is getting your enemy off the platform. That's the only thing that matters. Nothing else matters at all. All right, he's going to take off his clothes here in a minute and go swimming. Now, let's see if I can find a good spot to get him. I can't get up on that roof. My acrobatics are not high enough because I don't have the boots of Spring Hill Jack. And I didn't make a fortify acrobatic spell yet because I didn't go far enough in the Mage's Guild. Dang it. Wait, I can do it. Bet you I can get up on this rock. Aha! Now. Ah, just missed it. All right, let's see if we can get him, folks. That was unfortunate. I'm totally cheating right now. Don't care. Oh, I lost my... Oh, got him. There he goes. Adamus Philida is dead. I will return now to the sanctuary for my reward. If I want to receive a bonus, however, there is one more task I must complete. Philida wears an Imperial Legion ring. I should take his finger, with the ring still attached, and put it in the desk of Philida's Imperial Legion successor in his office in the Imperial City. Oh, dude, look at all these keys. We just own, like, we own the whole Imperial Tower here. Is there anything else we can loot off his body? I think this guy's going to attack us for doing this. So... You were over-encumbered. You have acquired the severed finger of Adamus Philida, with the ring still attached. I should go now to the Imperial City and place the finger in the desk of Philida's Imperial Legion successor, in his office in the prison barracks. If I do this, I will receive a bonus, or I may forfeit the bonus and simply return to achieve it at the sanctuary. Gotta get away. Woo! Let's get out of here. Late. They're coming for me. Where's my map? Oh, there's the... Is that the exit? Blackwood.
Stay away.
Oh, they're coming for me. They're coming for me. All of them are coming for me. Do I have any cool potions of invisibility? I don't think I have any invisibility potions. I don't think I have any invisibility spells either. I do have Chameleon. I should have been using that. My skill level's too low to cast Chameleon. It's okay. We're gonna get out of here. Pronto. Have you ever wished that the Elder Scrolls would put some thought into infrastructure? A little bit. I mean, into like all their roads and stuff. This one I actually think is better than Skyrim. Skyrim I think is actually like way worse. Skyrim, like, they have parapets that don't make sense. Their castles are ridiculous. Just like training some enemies here. Has anyone mentioned you sound like a less nasally Rikita Law? I haven't heard that. Like, nobody's house seems to have a bathroom. Oh yeah, you're right. There's no bathrooms. You cannot go that way. Turn back. Oh my gosh. I'm at the edge of the map. I'm at the edge of the map. How am I going to get out of this one, gents? That is the question. Do I turn around and fight these guys? I reckon at some point you have to. I think I'm hearing an Oblivion gate somewhere. Or maybe that's just thunder. Some like goblin mine there. Alright. Where am I going? Swim across the river here. Should have paid the fine. They were attacking me. They didn't give me an option to pay the fine. They didn't give me an option. Have to stop and pick the flowers while I'm running away. Now, let's see if I can get somewhere and hide. There's a ruin over here. Gotta get some of those stinkhorn caps. Ah, gate to oblivion. See, they won't follow me in there. There we go. Whoa, that's in a weird spot. Like, how do I get up to that? It's in a very weird spot. Need some Daedra around here. I do like the aesthetics of this game a lot. Whoa! What is that? A giant mud crab. Never seen such a thing. Let's run in here. Crap. Well, it's gonna let me. He's not gonna hit me while I pick the lock, guys. That's cool. No. While I carefully pick this lock, he won't attack me. Will the giant mud crab follow me in? All right. We hear so much about the High Elves having goblin slave armies. Why didn't the Thalmor have goblin meat shields? Why no goblins in Skyrim at all? I don't know. There's no goblins, no skeletons either, guys. It's all Draugr and no skeletons for some reason. I don't know why they did that, but that's how it was. Some beds here. Detect life. Boy, there's a lot of ingredients. A lot of ingredients in there. Okay. I think I'm safe, so I'm gonna try to sleep. Let's see what happens. Sleep about 4 hours. Micah Curtis has alleged that the currently popular definition of gamma male was invented by Vox Day to smear anyone who disagrees with him. It was invented by Vox Day. To what purpose? You know, just to classify behavior, really. I like to just call it like Virgin versus Chad, you know, and then everybody else. But it makes sense, you know. All right. So, I think I'm out of time here, guys. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this mission because it went so horribly awry. I think what we'll do next time is, instead of exploring this dungeon, I think I'll come back to it. See if I can sneak off and... Wow, this thing hits hard. And it blocks, too. Look at this thing. It's gonna own the crap out of me. Run away from the mud crab. Wow, look at this crazy effect from the... Okay. Can't get through the door, so we'll just do it like this. I was somewhat surprised that the Civil War didn't let the player attend the king's moot at the end, or decide who became the next High King. I think Belgriff would have been good. Yeah, I think you just pick the faction. That guy has no respect for lawn maintenance. In reverse, that crab has a lot of respect for lockpicking. I'll wait for you to pick the lock. I think I'm trying to remember who Micah Curtis is. I think he was a Comicsgate guy. Is that right? There we go. He was a Comicsgate guy, if I remember correctly, but I don't really remember that well. So maybe he was. Yes. All right. See if we can sneak over to the waterfront real quick. Pay off our fines. PS3 and 360, otherwise known as the Bloom generations. Yes. I miss those though. I really liked this like full screen glow effect. Oh man. Actually, to be fair, you inspired me to get the Better Faces mod. Yeah, now I can't really go back to like the vanilla faces.
Keep walking.
901. We're gonna go 15 hours. Oh, Micah Curtis was a Comicsgate guy. Sorry, I don't remember most of them at this point if they were around. Like, I don't think he was around for the early stuff, and then I was done with it pretty quick. Micah Curtis has a YouTube channel and recently published the first issue of his comic book Inglewood. He started his own imprint called Sleeveless Comics. Okay, well, good for him. You got something out. Good.
You can pay your fines to... Consider it done.
Whopping 20 gold.
I will get rid of all your criminal warrants. You can... Job. Look, however... Well, you can pay... It's your...
There we go.
You need more experience when...
Oh yeah, I gotta fence more stuff. before I can start getting jobs. Maybe I'll do that. We'll go by Bruma real quick and fence some stuff to what's his face. Turn this in, and then we'll call it a night. No, we won't turn this in. We gotta go deposit the finger to like send a message.
I'm really. You got some hot property.
All right. What do I have that he'll buy?
I can't make that deal, even for.
What? All right, let's do this.
I'm glad.
Apparently, he doesn't like me because I'm a vampire. That's okay.
Shadow hide.
Whoa, illusion skill increased.
I'm really. You got some hot property.
Let's sell the jade ring.
I can't make that deal, even for you.
Is there another one? Captivating touch or something? Vampire seduction. Alluring gaze. Just stack them.
I'm listening. You got some hot property. I can't make that deal.
Let's drop it down a little bit. Sell some silver necklaces. Let's sell that ring too. We're not going to use that. What else do we have that is stolen? Scales. The true nature of orcs.
I think. You got a great deal.
There we go.
A fine transaction.
There we go. None of this is worth selling. Make potions out of it after we level up. Yeah, that's it.
Huh? No, they were taken by surprise.
I've reached my gold. I have fenced over 50 gold worth of goods. Well, that's good. Got to give the guard the finger. I always, with blessings upon David Stewart for his generosity. Before we wrap things up here, I want to wish blessings upon Matt Burton and his people for his generosity as well. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. I actually grew up with a family of Burtons in Fresno, including Mike Burton. You might like the book Mythago Wood. It's about a magical forest. I like things about magical forests. It makes the fictional characters, anyone who enters it, familiar with come to life. Interesting. What's that green one there? Okay. Imperial Legion offices. Okay. Ah. I'm gonna have to break into those. Alright, we'll do that. Don't worry. We'll get this. We're gonna get this quest done, guys. Let's keep the garlic, the finding of which is the actual hardest part in Oblivion.
What is it, citizen?
They're just gonna probably just like let me sit around here for like 13 hours. Do you think liberalism would have existed without the Protestant Reformation? Boy, that's a good question. I think that a lot of what we see now is an inheritance of the Reformation, including our very pluralistic approach to religion, where like everybody has a slightly different version of religion, and everybody is kind of his own pope. Everybody kind of lives for himself. I think individualism and oh, I have a key. Well, that helps.
It's all over,
Oh, great. What I can probably do is just run in real quick, put the finger in, and he's still up. We'll wait 3 hours. Put the finger in and then just run out and get caught. Uh-oh. Beautiful young woman holding an infant to her breast. Oh, that one's gross. All right. Here we go. There we go. There it goes. And where are you gonna put? Where is it? All right, I have placed the finger of Adamus Philida in the desk of his successor. In his office in the Imperial City, I should now return to Ochiva and claim my reward and bonus. Bonus. Oh yeah, I have a mod that turns off the chameleon refraction so you can actually see what you're doing. That's a really good mod to have. Because when any amount of chameleon turns you like a glass, it becomes really hard to see what the heck you're doing. Your answering questions is more interesting than watching the gameplay. I appreciate your insight. Well, I appreciate you coming by. I really do. Yeah, I think our pluralistic approach to pretty much everything. Everybody has their own principles that they can use. America's kind of a Protestant nation in a way, and I think it's gotten a little bit worse, but we kind of see there's some negatives with it too, which is that everybody, it used to be everybody leaves everybody else alone, and that's great. But the problem is there's now a religion that really doesn't want to leave everybody else alone. That's the social justice religion. They want everybody to conform to their way of thinking or else go away forever and die. Talk.
Adamus Philida is dead. I could feel my heart swell with
Is that an extra 500 gold?
The moment that Imperial
It wasn't worth it.
issued his last breath. You have done a great service to the Dark Brotherhood today, Assassin. Your reward is well earned. You also managed to leave Philida's severed finger as a warning to his successor. Well done. Your bonus, 500 additional gold
500
coins
gold
is
coins would
well
be
earned.
an absolute fortune if you actually had
Go
it.
now, get some rest. Sithis knows you've earned it. When you're ready for another contract, you need only ask.
It's huge. That's like $500,000. Almost $1 million extra bonus. That's a lot. People are like, oh yeah, gold. And 500 gold coins would weigh 500 ounces, which should be a lot. 500 ounces is, what's 500? That's like almost 50 pounds, right? Jesus, that'd be a lot.
Is
Have
there
to
anything you need?
cart that out with a wheelbarrow.
Ah, Assassin, I must speak
Oh,
with you.
sweet. Now we
This
get to go meet
offer-
Lucy and
A
LeChance.
sealed letter just arrived from a Dark Brotherhood courier. I recognize this type of parcel. It contains sealed orders.
Yeah, and after this, you
It's addressed
you,
to
it, you get
Lucy and
you get
herself.
hijacked. Someone hijacks you and has you kill off all the Dark Brotherhood
Seal
people.
Orders immediately and follow their instructions to the letter.
Is there a mod that can
If
give those
the
talking
Black Hand
velociraptors dachshund heads? I don't know. If you don't like my principles, I have others. All right, let's. We're gonna create a new save, and I think that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. I really do appreciate it. Fame, 12 infamy. I'm really close to leveling up too. What level am I? That's it. I'm only level 8. This is fun. I'm not leveling up so fast. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there. All right, yeah, I think that's going to be it, guys. I do appreciate it, and I hope you will stop by next time. Enjoy the free books. If you didn't get a link for them, I'll put up an extra link here. For which one is this? Well, here's one of them. Tyrant's Gallow. And then we'll do... Man, I have so many of these. City of Silver. There you go. Now everybody gets one. A couple free books. All right, guys. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. I do appreciate the super chats, and maybe... Oh, Determined Sheepy, $10. Nothing to say, just appreciating Tyrant Scala. I do appreciate the super chats, and I will see you all next time. Make sure you are on my mailing list, dvspress.com/list, in case I get banned. At least occasionally you can get an email from me or something. So I appreciate it, and the link to the BitChute channel I think is in the description if you care about subscribing on BitChute and following me over there. I'll see you guys next time. Kyle Potter says he read Water of Awakening while he was in India. That's cool. India is an interesting place to go to. I would love to go there sometime. There's so many cool things to see. But anyway, I do appreciate you reading, and I will see you guys next time.